1. The Christmas Visitor. It was the first Christmas I'd spent in my new house. The house was old, almost too old, creaky floorboards, chipped paint, and a strange chill in the air no matter how high I turned up the heat. But it was mine now, and I was determined to make it feel like a home. I hung the decorations, strung up the lights, and even put a real tree in the corner of the living room, the smell of pine filling the air. The evening before Christmas Eve, I sat by the fireplace, sipping cocoa, feeling the warmth spread through me. The snow outside fell in thick sheets, covering everything in a blanket of white. There was something calming about it, almost magical. But then a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it to find nothing, not a soul in sight. But I noticed something strange, a small wrapped gift on the doorstep. It was elegantly wrapped with a golden ribbon tied perfectly on top. I bent down, hesitant but curious, and picked it up. It was light, too light, and felt unnervingly cold, as if it had been sitting outside for hours. The card read, "For you, Merry Christmas." I took the gift inside, trying to shake off the creeping feeling crawling up my spine. It had been a long day. Maybe I was just tired, but something didn't feel right. I stared at the gift for a while, debating whether to open it or not. The room suddenly felt colder, the flickering firelight casting strange shadows on the walls. Finally, I untied the ribbon and carefully unwrapped the gift. Inside was a small porcelain doll. It had lifelike glass eyes that seemed to follow me, no matter where I moved. I felt a chill run through me. I didn't own a doll like this. I turned it over to look for a maker's mark, but instead, something caught my eye, written in small, delicate handwriting on the back of the doll's neck. "I've been watching you." The house felt quieter then, the air thick with unease. I set the doll down and stepped away, but as I turned my back, I heard a soft creak behind me, like footsteps on the hardwood floor. My heart raced, and when I turned around, the doll was gone. 2. The Christmas Caroler. It was Christmas Eve, and I had just finished decorating the house. Everything looked perfect. The tree sparkled, the lights twinkled outside, and I felt a sense of peace that only Christmas could bring. The fire crackled in the hearth, and I had a warm mug of spiced cider in hand. I was about to settle in to watch a Christmas movie when I heard it, a soft, haunting sound coming from outside. A carol. It was strange. No one in the neighborhood had ever sung Christmas carols before. I got up, pulled back the curtains, and peered out the window. At first, I saw nothing. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a figure standing at the end of my driveway. It was a man, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, kind of like something you'd see in a Victorian Christmas card. His face was pale, almost gaunt, with hollow, dark eyes that seemed to bore into me. He raised a hand, a crooked finger pointing toward my front door. I don't know what possessed me, but I opened the door. The man didn't speak, but he continued to sing, his voice low and eerie. The words were distorted, like they didn't belong to any carol I knew. His song was about a child who had died on Christmas night, about a soul that could never rest. I wanted to shut the door, to scream, but something in me froze. I couldn't look away from his dark eyes, and then, with a sudden, unnatural smile, he stopped singing. "Don't you want to know what happened to the child?" he asked, his voice a rasp. I backed away slowly, and with that, the figure seemed to vanish into the night. The wind howled, and the eerie carol faded into the distance, but the image of that man's eyes stayed with me. I closed the door, trembling, and tried to shake it off. But every time I looked out the window, I saw him standing there, waiting, just out of reach. 3. The Christmas lights. I had always loved Christmas lights. There was something magical about how they illuminated the dark winter nights, how they turned an ordinary house into something glowing and beautiful. This year, I had gone all out, strings of lights wrapped around the trees, twinkling decorations on every window. It was the most festive I had ever been. But there was something strange about the lights this year. At first, it was just a feeling. The lights would flicker unexpectedly, casting weird shadows in my living room. But then, on Christmas Eve, I noticed something far worse. I was sitting in the dark, in front of the tree, when I noticed that one of the light strands outside my window wasn't working. I got up to fix it, annoyed that the perfection of my display had been marred. As I stood on the porch, I reached up to adjust the bulb, but before I could touch it, the entire strand of lights flickered violently. I jumped back, my heart racing, and for a moment, everything went dark.